welcome to HowTo in a few. Today we're going to take a look at swapping out a hot water heater. The other day, coming out on the way to work, I noticed the area was flooded near the utility room, and when I went inside to look, the hot water heater apparently on the bottom something had popped or rusted, corroded through, and water was flowing everywhere. A complete nightmare. So we are going to replace that today. Originally I was thinking about going with a tankless instant on, but due to the changes in the electrical supply system that were needed, I decided just to go ahead and make this an easy repair, knock on wood, with a new hot water heater. It's going to have a couple connections on top and then the power connection. It should be fairly simple. We are going to upgrade from like a 30-gallon tank to a 50-gallon tank, so that should give us a little more capacity for those long hot showers. Now let's go check and see what we got ahead of us. So this particular house has a lot of plumbing issues due to the well water being fairly acidic. The acidic nature of the water eats through any kind of metal piping over time if it's not neutralized with a calcium filter, which it is now. But the previous owners didn't maintain that system. It has to be filled regularly because the calcium gets used up. So we've had significant damage to the copper pipes and other devices, including the hot water heater. You can see this is the utility area, so luckily all of the flooding occurred external to the main house. If you have like a hot water heater in the attic, this kind of event can be catastrophic. But it basically flooded the utility room. I was able to turn off the water, and now we're going to go ahead and change it. As you can see, the biggest part of the job is going to be accessing the hot water heater, but the open walls shows you that much of that plumbing has been repaired recently too. So this will give me an opportunity, and I'll decide when I get in there whether I want to quickly patch up that sheetrock while the hot water heater is out. But we're going to go ahead and move some of this stuff out of the way so we can get a much better work area and access to the old hot water heater. Okay, having gained a little better access, let's go take a look at what we're dealing with here. We have this color code right here. It tells me this is the hot water coming out. This is the cold water going in, which we have currently turned off. And then we have our power connection. So I recently just put this insulation on here for the winter. So I'm not going to completely undo this, but I do want to see how my connections are made. It looks like a flex tube. Hopefully there's still some flex in it when we take it off. Yeah, we're going to go the easy route. I did purchase new installation hoses because I foresee that this is the bypass valve that is supposed to trigger if there's too much pressure, and then the water is released outside to prevent flooding like what we actually had. And the new one is located on top, so I will have to do some plumbing to the safety valve. But I was hoping to not have to redo too much, but it may end up that we'll have to replace these all the way around. But those two fittings will have to be loosened and taken off. And I think I'm gonna I have the breaker off, but I'm gonna use my little device just to verify that there's no power here, and then we'll open this up to take a look at exactly what we're looking at. This wire may actually make its connection on this panel. I'm not sure if you can see that in the field of view, but there's a couple of panels on the hot water here. So let's go ahead and take a look in here and then in here. Okay, so I've opened the port and the breaker is off, but we're just going to check with this cobalt power meter. I'm not getting any kind of signal. And we could check, well, maybe not. Let me check on this outlet over here. Okay. So verified my tool is working and it's not sensing any electricity here, so we should be good. Of course, as I said, I did turn off the breaker. And just to be honest with you, even though I've verified that the power is off, I'm still very respectful when it comes to wire connections. So. And our number one rule is don't touch them, and don't touch them to each other. Alright, there's a little bit of insulation in here, kind of bizarre. And then the white neutral is grounded. Alright, chugging right along. Okay, so I did expect a little water to come out. All right, unless there's something I don't know about, this should all just kind of move out of the way. Okay, so interestingly, I assumed that the hot water heater was empty. The fact that it was spilling out, so it must have been an intake line that corroded through and was spewing water out, even though the tank itself is still full. So there is a drain spout on the bottom, but rather than flood the utility room, I'm going to try to get this out of the utility room, and then we'll go ahead and drain it outside. Okay, this is the current status of our space. We did a little cleanup, not a real cleanup, just some bleach mop, bleached the walls because I did notice a little bit of mold on the walls. This is technically an external utility room, so while maybe one day it'll be nice and pristine, that's not going to happen today. I did kind of shore up some of the insulation that was missing that I couldn't reach before. I had thought about tackling the sheetrock, but in actuality this entire room needs maybe to be gutted. At the very least, everything needs to be removed: shelves, tools, appliances, to actually take care of some of the issues, because even the seams on the ceilings and all are coming loose. So I feel like sheetrock at this point is probably premature. But we're ready. We're going to let this dry a little bit, bleach mop the floors, and then we'll go ahead and bring the new one in here in a couple of minutes. I don't think it's going to dry that much because it's raining outside, but we'll give it a couple minutes before we start on the installation of the new hot water heater. Okay, it's really starting to come down now. So as you can see, since I had an extra piece of sheetrock, I went ahead and just made a rough cut, and I mean, I'm not proud of that sheetrock job at all, but with the insulation in place and it's somewhat together, at least it's closed partially. We'll worry about that at another point. Now we're going to go ahead and open up the hot water heater and see where we stand with that. There's actually cut lines on the box to follow, so we'll go ahead and use a box knife to make those cuts. Oh, that's pretty interesting. Slightly higher. I was hoping we'd get under this drain, but we're not, so the hot water heater will likely be a little bit in a different position as before, because I don't really want to remove this and make my attachment. I was thinking about making my attachment here and then using the hose to the safety valve in this direction, but I see this is a little different than I expected, being a female. So we may have to postpone connecting that until a later date. Everything else looks essentially identical to the other one, so we should be done here in just a few minutes. Okay, so I have the hot water heater where I believe it's going to go. I'm pretty much right on. And we'll see how we're going to work that. It looks like I'm going to end up having to do some copper soldering. But I carefully bent these to try to get them into position. I'm not liking where I'm I may end up having to use the new ones. I can't get these to cooperate fully. And I'm close on this side. This is the one I'm a little concerned because I don't want to kink it. I'm a big fan of, like, anytime you're screwing something, doing it by hand just to make sure you're on the thread and you're not cross-threading anything. So okay, we can go ahead and use a wrench now. So there was a plastic fitting, if you recall, that I was trying to pry loose, a little screen in there to catch things. So, and this hose kind of seals against that with this nut. So I'm tightening this with the idea that I'm tightening against plastic. So you don't want to crank down on this. And so we haven't made our electrical connection yet. I guess I'm going to go ahead and do that because once I turn on the water, if I in fact have a leak, this could all get wet. And then, you know, it becomes a little more dangerous to make electrical connections. So I'm going to connect the electricity now, and then we'll go ahead and turn on the water and see if we have any leakage here. It'd be nice if I got lucky and it was just the size of the driver. I wish everything worked that easily. water. I hear it. Alright, I'm not going to turn the water full blast on. I'm going to go ahead and open the hot water taps to kind of get all the air out. Because right now I think that air is probably getting compressed inside the tank. I don't see any kind of leak so far. We are completely air free. It took quite a while for all the faucets to stop blowing air, and it was actually pretty noisy. Probably should have videoed. It was kind of interesting. I don't have any leaks here, so I'm going to go ahead and just cosmetically tape this back up. So I may come back in here eventually and kind of re-insulate these, and I will need to take care of this pressure relief valve, because if that were to shoot out now, it would put hot water all over the walls. I mean, we flooded in here already, so I mean it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but we want to do the job right. So I'll eventually make a cut and plumb this so that it would go outside. Okay, so well, I guess we should turn it on, see if it explodes on me, right? Go back to our little electricity thing just to make sure we're energized. Well, okay, so power's going. I mean, this is obviously not what you'd want to use to accurately measure that you're getting power, but it is sensing power that it didn't sense before. So we'll give it a couple minutes and then we'll try it out, and hopefully we'll have hot water, because I'm in desperate need of a hot shower right now. Don't feel anything yet. Okay, so hopefully you found that helpful in case you needed to change your hot water heater. If so, please give me a thumbs up, click the subscribe button, because that goes a long way to keep YouTubers like me making videos like this for people like you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.